Hey, Rashab, I haven't seen Danny. I was looking to see if he canceled it, but I assume that we're not on since it's five after.
Got it. This is my first time to this OCP meeting.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
And so we're actually in the process of trying to combine this work stream with I can't remember what the titles are, but let's see, it's the telemetry and the power efficiency work stream that meets on Fridays. So we're trying to combine those, and I don't know if that has did that take effect, and so this meeting needs to be canceled or not yet. But we are still doing stuff, but we did come to the conclusion that there was a lot of overlap, and that the work we have done so far means that those work streams really should combine. So look for that to happen, and then there are a number of folks that had conflicts at this time anyway. So if you look on the calendar for the sustainability group, there's another work stream that meets. I think it's at this time, or it's within an hour or so tomorrow of this time slot.
got it. Uh,
But who are you with?
I'm with Oracle.
Oh, okay. I'm with HPE. And I did a lot of the work on the profile that's been the output of this work stream so far.
Hmm,
And I talked to Danny Intel that runs the group quite often.
got it. Yeah, I'm very new to Oracle and I'm figuring out what to. I used to be in AWS, and in AWS we didn't typically come to OCP. Now
Right.
that I'm out, I was trying to explore a bit, and so I'm here.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen it, I'll just give you a link to the GitHub repo where we've got the profile that describes the stuff that this work stream wants to make uh, as required or recommended data for you to be able to perform power efficiency and telemetry metrics. Let me give you a link here.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it. It would be great to take a look at it.
Yeah, here I'll stick this in the chat. So it's where'd it go? There it is. All right, so yeah, so that's the folder within the repo. There's 5 documents there. The one to look at is the first one that called the OCP sustainability profile. It's a markdown doc, and that describes the content of the profile. The profile itself is the second file, the JSON file there that is used for the validator to be able to check a redfish implementation to see if it conforms to the profile. But that's all described in the markdown document.
Got it. This looks like power telemetry at the rack level. Is it true?
Yes, well, it can be. So the intent of the profile is to be able to get at the minimum total consumed power and energy from any managed device. So whether that's a top of rack measurement, or an individual server, or some other piece of equipment, anything with a big power plug on it, that you get the data the same way. So that's what this does. Um, the one area the one type of equipment that profile doesn't cover is the actual power distribution equipment. So if you have a PDU, um, that's handled by a different that's handled by a different profile, because those measurements are all just kind of you know that's all kind of standard expectations for that distribution gear, and it's done slightly differently. So instead of replicating that or and making it a little more confusing, we just we just don't cover that in this profile because it's covered in a also in that repository. If you go up one level, there's a rack and power folder, and you'll see a rack PDU profile. So
Got it.
same concept, just yeah, they share an awful lot of the same definitions. So the individual properties have the same name. They're just in different locations because of the fundamental differences between the an architecture of the PDUs versus any other kind of normal piece of equipment.
Interesting. Yeah, all of this seems to be very different from. I used to design the data center itself, and so I seem to be out of depth here.
Well, so now that's all. This is all coming from a Redfish implementation viewpoint, and that's kind of where OCP is on on what the requirements are for OCP devices. So if
Mm-hmm.
taking the measurements kind of from at that data center level, that this view is going to be a little different. But we're looking to try to make sure that all gets unified. It's the data model works at that top scale, but we have to get to the where's that information being gathered and who's reporting it. And yeah, that traditionally that gets handled by the building management systems or any of the other sort of facility level stuff. But for OCP purposes, we need that data to be number one, more granular, right, to be able to actually do anything in terms of improve efficiency. But also we need it we need that to be available in the formats and accessible through interfaces that are common to the IT infrastructure. So we are kind of bridging some ground here between the facility world and the IT infrastructure world. So that's the direction we're going. But hopefully,
And the purpose,
that.
yeah. So from my perspective, right, measuring how much energy the building consumes
Mm-hmm.
uh, allows us to provision for energy that we'll need through the year, and therefore allows for capacity planning for building more buildings.
Right.
And seeing how much of the current substation's power we'll utilize, and therefore figuring out a network plan basically. So from that perspective, the level we are measuring is fine. But what is the purpose of measuring at the rack level? Are you trying to identify how much usage the customer's workload actually trigger in terms of power consumption? Is that the purpose of this?
Yeah. So a couple kind of use cases, and so this is and some of this is to is to actually make sure the data is available and can be consumed, and then the okay, if I can't measure it, then I can't do anything about it. So that's kind of where we're the cart before the horse kind of questions with some of this stuff, right? But so the intent is make things available at the rack level, because same question for the data center gets down to the rack level distribution. You don't if you over under provision power, what's available at the rack, how much of it's being utilized, is there stranded power, those kinds of things. Look at the efficiency of the rack to rack consumptions, and be able to do some efficiency calculations from some of that data, and then be able to drill into the individual pieces of IT here, so that we can look at what's the efficiency or the workload, what work is getting accomplished per watt, those kind of things, right? So it's um, until you can until we can get some data, we don't know some of that stuff of how can I actually take that and calculate workload? Yes. How much of that is how accurate those measurements? Well, until we start getting some real data to utilize to do those, it's kind of hard to branch print what's going to be useful and what's not, right? So but yeah, the goal is the goal is to get to those, be able to answer those questions. Which workloads run best on what types of gear, and what gear is either being under or overutilized. to get the most efficient use of power.
Interesting. I see. Okay.
Yeah, so take
Yes.
a look at that stuff, and yeah, if you want to contact me, or if you want to, I can give you my email. It's just jeff.allard@hp.com.
Got it. You said that this is combining with another work stream, right?
Yeah,
Is
let me.
the other work stream also looking at things at a rack or a server level, like post
Yes.
PDU level?
Um, yes, but I think, again, the scope is a little different, but the intent and the goals, I think, are very much, the same or easily aligned.
I'm trying to understand if I will be able to contribute anything at all in this particular doc, right? I don't think I'll be able to give any insights or make any useful contributions. So I'm
Uh,
wondering.
Maybe. I mean, certainly, make sure that the document makes sense to you as a power person at the facility. I'd like you to be able to see the yes, this all makes sense. Uh, so, I'm hoping we've had enough feedback and enough history that it does. But it would be really good to see some fresh eyes on it. Um, and I think the other work stream is about efficiency metrics. So attempting to be able to quantify useful work from a compute standpoint. So we have the PUE measurement, but that's at the data center level, and just dividing by effectively by the power consumed by the cooling system versus power consumed by the racks, right? That's kind of the calculations that get used for a live PUE. But we know
Hmm.
there's a non-trivial percentage of power consumed in the IT racks that goes to power the fans, or is consumed by conversion losses, AC to DC and DC to
Yep.
DC conversion losses. And so trying to come up with definitions for how to expose and measure that those numbers, so that we can show, how to make improvements and where to address inefficient uses of power down at that level. So to get a more granular PUE, so to speak. And the motivation for that is, listening to the other sustainability folks, the PUE for, at scale data centers is kind of going to reach an asymptote, with no further, no major progress to make forward. But yet we know that there's more work to do. And so, if the PUE isn't going to reflect progress, or worse, it may show the wrong direction. And I don't have this slide handy, but there's and Eric, I forget Eric's last name, but he's made presentations at Summit and a few other places, showing that, if I move from a air cooled data center to a liquid cooled data center, because of the way PUE is measured by, hey, the fans are part of the IT load, so that gets counted as, as work. Whereas if I liquid cool the data center, I got rid of all the fan power, so my IT, my IT power efficiency actually goes up. But now I've got a bunch of power being consumed by the chillers and the pumps. And so my PUE would actually go down, or sorry, would get worse. And, it shows that that's not true. Your efficient, a liquid cooled data center is much more power efficient than an air cooled one, based on rack fans. But if that doesn't get reflected in the metrics, that's a problem. So that was.
Is that true though? I feel like we are adding a lot more pumps and fans and cooling equipment to the system, which are less efficient than a typical air cooled server, right? Which has fans. So
If you don't get rid of the fans, that's it. So I
that's
think
true.
there's two things. So the absolute consumption is absolutely going up, right? So but so some of this is going to be a force of, we're going to have to go to more liquid cooling regardless. But
Mm-hmm.
so it's, when you look generation to generation, those things may
I
have gone
see.
to larger pumps, right? But
Yeah,
meanwhile,
that makes sense.
the GPUs went from 700 watts to 1400 watts or something like that. So yeah, the numbers don't look good, but there is an improvement in efficiency, and that's the thing. We've got to make sure that those things actually
No,
show.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So,
Thinking about it, yeah, about 15% is gonna be still air cooled and 85% is gonna be liquid cooled, and so the air cooled component is gonna kind of remain the same because you need air
right.
cooling for most of the other chip components. But cooling with the liquid is typically more efficient than air cooled, and you're adding equipment for liquid cooling, and it's
Yeah. Well,
bound to be better than fans because
right.
yeah,
And so, and here's the same, so the same can be said for air cooled. If you actually went to an infrastructure where the fans were, large blowers that could handle the full rack, for instance,
hmm
right, that would be more efficient than 40 individual sets of fans for every server, right? But if that fan calculation, if that rack level fan energy was treated as data center as uh, opposed to IT power consumption, you would have the same problem, right? Because like, oh, I just took all the fan power and just moved it into the other, into the numerator instead of the denominator, vice versa. I would do that backwards. So yeah, it's an accounting issue, in conjunction with an actual, numbers getting larger issue. So it's all of those things.
got it. Yeah, I think that can be a bit more relevant to me. I can quickly write through where and all power losses happen from, say, the substation
Mhm.
to the rack,
Yep.
which would that be helpful?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay. Hmm. Okay, I can do that. But
Yeah.
it sounds like it's more a focus of the other call, and anyway, both of these calls are gonna get combined, so I can do that.
Yeah. We're trying to, let's see. I'm trying to trying to go to the calendar here, make sure I get this right.
I spoke with someone called Sami Nachimuthu. He was also
Yes,
mentioning something similar. So it's his calls, right?
it's his call. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the DCEM call on Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific.
Yeah, I think I have that. I know where to find it, so no worries about that. Tell me a bit about reading this document and seeing if it makes sense, right? For me, I don't even know what to look at and say if it makes sense or not. I'm looking at things like property name require. Yeah, this document is, what do you say?
So that document is showing the data that is being exposed by the system management interface on a managed device, and it's in the JSON format. If you go to the end of the document, or sprinkled throughout that, there's some what look like code blocks that are a JSON, they're JSON formatted documents.
Yeah, the first one which says, what's the name of, wait, let me go to the top.
Yeah, here, let me see. I can,
Hardware management OCP profiles, OCP sustainability profiles, that document?
yes, yeah. Here,
Okay.
can I share it? I can't. Okay, here, let me just share this real quick because I've got it pulled up so I can just kind of walk you through that a little bit. Okay, so yeah, this is that in the sustainability folder. This is the sustainability profile markdown document. That's one I put the link. Uh,
hmm
so the so there's kind of two parts of this document. The first part is explaining the why, the what data and why you want it, and it's got some little snippets of data. And like I said, these are all these JSON formatted outputs. This is what's coming out of the management interface. I don't know if you're familiar with Redfish or systems management in general, the IT side.
I've
Uh,
heard of it, but not much.
okay. So this first set of stuff is the why. So and I wrote most of this, so I can walk through this easily. So the use cases that we want to cover, and that's kind of what the point of this profile is, to make sure that that software has the data that it needs to be able to answer these use cases. So there's three covered by this profile. So basic product identification. I need to be able to smell what's the make, model, and serial number of these products, so I know what I'm looking at, right? So that's kind of the basic. And where is it in the data center, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all that kind of, that's the basics. But I got to have that, otherwise I can't. If I don't know what rack something is in, then it's hard for me to say, what the rack level power is. So that if I try to sum all that stuff up, right? So that's number one. Number two is power and energy reporting. I really want to hear energy because I need both. Both instantaneous power has use, but really I want to know about energy consumption over time. And so being able to extract that from any managed device is kind of the main. That's the big one. And I guess I'm sorry, and I put location data. I kind of munch those together. So yeah, location data. It's like what rack are you in? What where are you in the world? Because if I'm going to take your consumption and want to look this up in in carbon footprint, cost data, carbon footprint data, et cetera, I got to know that stuff. So that's the kind of three areas of data that we need to have coming out of the products to meet the use cases that the work group has identified. So that's the first part. The second part is really for the implementers or the end users of this, both the implementers and the end users of the data. So this is taking the definitions out of the Redfish interface and describes them, and basically this is what you have to go implement in order to meet those goals. And so it's organized by the way that Redfish expresses those things. So for instance, the physical location and the basic product information comes out in a chassis resource, and this is all REST interface stuff. So comes through a web interface. And so these are the properties that show up in the JSON data, and what all those things are. So it's data type and descriptions. And if you look at the end of each of those sections, there's a sample here of what that looks like. And so this is one of the key points of the Redfish interface is that this is a JSON document, but even if you don't know anything about the management interface or the system or the format, this is mostly human readable, right? So I mean, with knowing absolutely nothing, you can tell me the serial number of this system, right? So
Got it.
So that's kind of how it goes on, and then so this is basically that description. So so in terms of like review, this stuff is all comes out of the Redfish standard, so it's just here for reference, but it explains all these notes here are why do you have to have this? So this is the subset of what's available that you need to have to support the sustainability goals.
Got it.
And so from a review and understanding standpoint, it would be take a look at this part, this
Use cases. Yep.
and actually, and I've got I haven't merged that yet. So so this section is actually going to get renamed to be Appendix A, because it's like, well, this is all text that is being automatically generated from the standard schema files. So we don't have the ability here to change any of this text. So it's either coming from the profile doc or it's coming from the standard. So it's really, this is what you want to look at, and this is all reference material.
Got it. Okay. Sounds good. I can take a look.
Okay, very good. All right, and now so we can talk on, and I'm looking at the OC calendar, which is what I had up here. Where to go? There it is. So it looks like these meetings have actually been canceled on the calendar. So it's still on my calendar, my local calendar. I didn't see it. So, but yeah, so it looks like they may have canceled these, and so yeah, the intent is we're going to use the Friday time slot for this combined work streams.
Got it. Okay.
All right.
And looks like there's a call. Today is Thursday and tomorrow's Friday. Okay, so it starts from
Friday,
tomorrow.
yeah.
All right. I think I understand.
Okay.
I think I know where I can contribute.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for giving me this explanation, Jeff. I appreciate
No
it.
problem. Yeah, it's like we need more people involved in these work streams. So That's why
Got
we
it.
want to combine them and try to get you know, a little more critical mass, because you know, we've been doing this stuff for a while now, but you know, but it's kind of the, well, we're kind of done with this step, so let's, you know, let's not keep meeting when there's really not a lot to discuss, you know, but you know, not to say that there might not be something else that comes up, but you know, we're having the same group of people talk on two different meetings, like, you know what, let's just have one meeting.
Makes sense.
All right, great.
Uh,
I will talk to you tomorrow then, hopefully.
yes. Tomorrow I have a conflict, but I'll see if I can move it around and join.
Okay. No, well, if
But
not, I'll let, yeah, if you want to send Sammy a note or something, or I'll just mention to her that you were on the call, so we can kind of expect you to show up at future meetings.
okay, I had a chat with him. I don't know when was this. Monday or Tuesday?
Oh, okay.
Monday.
Yeah,
Yes.
if you
So
good. Then you're all set.
he sent me some stuff to read up about that as well. Uh, and he was even who spoke about redfish and whatnot. Before that, I hadn't heard of redfish. So
Okay. Well, if you go look,
uh,
there's a YouTube channel, there's a DMTF, there's plenty of material, and I'm one of the original authors, so you
oh,
know,
is it
you'll
awesome?
hear my voice over and over again if you look at that stuff. So
Got it. What? Uh, okay, sounds good. Redfish is completely out of my realm of the world. So I
oh
had
no,
no clue
yeah,
about it. When I
yep,
saw it, I couldn't
understood.
make any sense of it. So I just took a step back. But I can understand what other aspects I can contribute in. So that's a good start for me, at least.
Yeah, well, if you're familiar with any of the management stuff for the data center, you know, the you know, things coming out of Modbus or SNMP, you know, Redfish is just the, you know, is a modern and a more standardized you know, replacement for those things.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not.
Okay, okay. Well, then it's all Greek. That's fine. We've got a clean slate to work with then.
All right. Thanks, Jeff.
All right,
Hopefully, we'll talk again, if not next week. Thanks for taking the time. Have a good
sure,
rest
no
of the day.
problem. All right, have a good week.